Welcome back, folks, to my Combat Channel News. I, again, am the Yak Man, Ron Yakovetti. Start in the beginning.
Fabiano, the king of armbar.
That hasn't changed since the last time you watched. It's
Nope.
not going to change next time either. Tonight, great show, talking about championship and top shelf things. We have reigning champions, we have resigning champions, and a promotion very highly respected, retiring, no longer to exist, and an interview that we're very excited to have here tonight.
On studio.
Gentleman who calls himself Twinkle Toes. And many people have been beaten by a guy named Twinkle Toes. Very talented fighter, very excellent
talented
commentator,
fighter. Yes.
host, good on-camera guy. We're lucky to have him here.
He's gonna be with us, and again, guess who fought him before?
Oh, not you. You fought everybody.
I fought him before.
Everybody.
There you go.
You might be the only guy who would say you fought the law and you won.
And it was a great time. Anyway, we're gonna talk about that in the interview.
Yeah,
anyway.
for sure, for sure.
So we have, of course, upcoming fight. Anderson Silva step up to save UFC Brazil, UFC 153. He's gonna fight against Stephan Bonner on the 205 division, and it's gonna be 3 5-minute round. That's gonna be interesting because, in my opinion, I don't think Stephan can definitely bring a good fight.
Right.
He proved that before, but he doesn't have the tools to be Anderson.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like, again, everything can happen.
Right.
I mean, the odds on that fight is pretty low.
Yeah. The odds have Anderson Silva at 93% likely to win. Here's the thing for Stephan Bonner, very talented fighter, very game, tough opponent. But when your odds of winning are comparable to the percentage you've got of fat in your milk, that's not good. 7% chance they're giving him to win that fight. If he wins and somebody bets on him,
But that's the deal.
Big
what
money.
happened to when my boy too? Damn, that was 10-1. The odds. It was crazy. Fabricio Verdun.
oh, with Fedor.
Fedor. I
Yeah.
was telling everybody, put money on that fight, put money on that fight, because
You know who you didn't tell?
I know. Yeah, I didn't tell you. And what, and that could be a money maker. And then of course people start to put more money on him, and the odds went, went down, down, down. But there was very good opportunity to make money. That's another good opportunity to make money, because on the fight game, folks, everything can happen.
Right, anything can.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance that in this fight, the money starts coming in on Bonner because of his track record, because they know how tough he is, and then the odds drop from 93% Anderson, or you think it's going to stay there?
No, it's going to go up. It's going to go up because, again, more people is going to start to put money on him, so they have to balance that up. So, but it's definitely not going to get 50-50. I don't think it's going to get at that point.
If you're Stephan Bonner's corner, again, Anderson's an enigma. He's a Rubik's Cube that people can't figure out how to get the colors lined up. How do you tell your guy? And Bonner's really he's a grinder. He's a brawler. He's very tough. He's not as technical as Anderson. He is technical, but what do you tell him to do to beat Anderson Silva? That seems to be the big question.
On that particular fight, I tell him to push, because he proved before that he does have a very good cardio. That's what, that's the way he beat most of the guys that he's been fighting. And also tell him, like, look, end of the day, if you do well, it's going to be good for you.
Right.
So, try not to get a front kick on the face and knock out in the first round.
So if you're Bonner and you look out to the crowd outside of the octagon, and there your eyes are met by those gold, yellow, goggle sunglasses, and it's Steven Seagal, are you worried about that front kick?
Well, you know what Steven Seagal gonna say after that fight? What else that happened? That was the move that he put it on.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't even want to go that part. I don't even want to go that part. Anyway, we got a champion leaving.
Yes.
That's a very good story about that. We're gonna bring it up. So how come somebody is undefeated and he decides, that's it for me?
Yeah, in case you're wondering who we're specifically talking about, Bellator undefeated champion Cole Conrad, 8-0 if I'm not mistaken, is stepping away from the sport.
9-0.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
9-0.
So I am mistaken, and you were right there to catch it like an armbar. 9-0, and he's stepping away from mixed martial arts, and what really, if we consider the height of his career, with much more promising things even possible, stepping out. he's going to be working as a dairy farmer or working with milk on a farm. And so, of course, career security and, you know, the milk industry is not going anywhere anytime soon. Fighter's career might be shorter.
And guys, if you don't know him and you're at home and you think, oh, maybe he's too old, he's only 28 years old.
Right.
And I hope that's the right decision, because
Yeah.
if he decides to come back later, it's going to be too late.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how much he's getting paid. You know, I'm not his accountant, I'm not his manager, I'm not his wife, he's married. That's the one for sure, know how much he's getting paid.
No, shit. If he made a bad decision, that's going to be who tells him at any given point. No question. 28 years old to retire. I like him as a fighter. I like him as a person. What I've seen.
I like him too.
I don't like him for retiring that young because I couldn't do it. But if it's the right choice for him.
Some people start that age.
Yeah.
Some people started to fight professional in that age.
Exactly.
So, well, that's, you know, everything's going to be changing. And I believe that later on, that's going to be around the retirement time for most of the people, around 30s.
Yep.
As again, the sport is growing. We got young guys starting to fight when they're 7, 8 years old, like we talked about that before.
And starting as mixed martial artists, whereas guys in the back of the day started with 15 years of Muay Thai and they had 2 years of Jiu-Jitsu and they were trying to balance it out. These guys are doing everything from the go as a mixed martial artist, so the talent pool is going to get even deeper and more difficult. Speaking of talent pool, coming up next on our segment, the interview, at the front stage, we're going to sit down with Frank Twinkle Toes Trigg, an interesting and entertaining guy. He's funny, he's great on air, he's whooped some butt in his day, very good fighter, and we're going to talk to him.
Not better looking than me.
That is hard to do. I had a list of better looking guys than
funny
Fabiano.
Guy, he's here.
And it has Fabiano, and Fabiano. That's the list.
Here we go.
We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back, folks, to My Combat Channel News. We're joined now by Twinkle Toes himself, Mr. Frank Trigg.
How you guys doing?
Frank, thanks for coming into the studio. We're doing all right.
It's not a bad studio to show up for. Like, I was just basically.
You like that?
I was
you like the background?
I was walking down the street in Beverly Hills and kind of walked around. I was like, hey, I know you. Hey, I know you. What are you guys doing down here? Oh, we're coming to work. Come on in. And lo and behold, I am sitting in the studio. It's kind of nice. Yeah, I like it.
Good to have you in town.
I like being here. It's not too bad. Quick drive from Vegas. So for me, just a 4-hour drive. Came up and was doing some other stuff last night. And called Fabiano, was like, hey, what's going on? Let's hang out a little bit. I just want to hang out and have a beer. And he enticed me with, I'll get you dinner.
Yeah.
After.
After. One thing I want to ask is that you've had your fighting career, you do broadcasting, hosting, commentating. I've seen your work. You're good at all the stuff you do. You definitely class up a broadcast.
Thank you.
What was the hardest thing for you to get your head around, to get into? Was it when you began fighting? Was it when you began broadcasting? What was the harder transition?
They're all different challenges, because you really get into them and you have a situation where, for me, from a wrestling background, all of a sudden I had to learn how to box, I had to learn how to do jiu-jitsu, I had to learn how to do Muay Thai, I had to learn how to, all of a sudden, I'm allowed to turn my hips and my shoulders. In wrestling, we're square. We're not supposed to turn our hips or shoulders ever. Then all of a sudden you have me trying to rotate my hips and my shoulders every time for a punch. It was very hard for me to learn how to do that.
Yeah, I can see that happen.
Then with commentating, it's getting used to somebody being in your ear and telling you, 10, 9, ready to go, move on to the next thing, we're doing this thing, like getting used to that talk. But for me, because I have a really, really bad speech impediment, I've been working on it since 4th grade. It was to the point where no one could really understand what I was saying up until the end of my 3rd grade year.
I'm going for that problem now.
it's great, it's amazing. But both were equally as hard, and they each had a different problem trying to go through it, as your learning curve, increases itself. But now, I'm kind of comfortable with all of them.
So if we go back and ask questions about your career, your fighting career, besides me, which one was the harder guy that you ever fought?
He just opened up a can of worms right there, you know that.
Yeah.
There it is, folks.
We'll get into it here in a little bit, but Fabiano and I did fight in Friday. That card was made famous because he and I fought on it, but also because this guy named Igor Vachanchyn fought for Francisco Bueno, and Francisco was supposed to be the next coming. He was supposed to be the next guy coming in. Everybody's talking about how good he was from Brazil. Had punching power, jiu-jitsu power, knock you out with knees, could break your arms, could choke you unconscious. Went up against Igor Vachanchyn and got literally, the first time I've ever seen live, starched on that canvas. Hands down, 8 unanswered punches as Igor was just bouncing.
Yep.
The next fight up,
see that?
hard fight, complete panic. Wow.
See that?
Look, I used to have a hair at that time.
You look like you're ready to fight, almost like a boxer. He looks like he's got a shopping cart at Ralph's.
I got something to tell you about that night. So I was in the locker room, and Francisco came out, and he was still laying down. And they brought him back. So I went to him, as in Brazilian, we all know each other. I say, Francisco, no worries, man, everything's gonna be fine. And he looked at me and said, did I fought already? And I say, no. Yes, you did. And he asked me, how did I did? I say, well, not too well.
Wow, I've been there.
Well.
I was there. Yeah, when I got knocked out, same thing happened to me. I was like, oh, what day is it? What time is it? The nurses started asking the questions in the hospital. I started reading the board. Get the answers off the board.
Did that happen with the Lawler fight in Hawaii?
Yep, that's exactly when it happened. The first time you interviewed me live, it was actually, that was the Icon fight and the TJ Thompson.
What a fight that was, man. You ragdolled Robbie Lawler for the whole fight, and then that one shot with your hands on, like you said, and then he threw a gratuitous shot just because he was pissy and probably shouldn't have done that, of course, and then the ref got in there too late. Let me move on to something that, if you didn't share this, and you didn't share this, you guys would both be cheating mixed martial arts fans in the worst possible way. Talk about the story when you fought him, and what you thought, and then what you thought after you thought.
No, I told that story like a million times already. So I was there, and in the short notice, I accepted to fight him. I was there training Sakuraba for that fight, and then we supposed to have 170 pounds. Remember that time, the Pride was open weight. I said, no way I'm gonna fight somebody bigger than me. It's like on short notice. No, you're gonna get somebody, they're gonna fight Frank Trigg on 107 pounds. So the whole time I was going to sauna, I was going to jacuzzi, he was in the sauna, I see him losing weight. And then on the day that we waiting, he weighed 170 pounds. So I weighed 170 pounds, and my dad was there. I looked at my dad and said, I'm gonna kill this guy, because he looked like so dehydrated that he was ready to die. But the catch was, the weigh-in was 2 days before the fight.
2 day early weigh-in, okay.
So on the day of the fight, I walked first, got in the ring, waiting for him to walk into. He jumped the ropes. I see the ring, shake. I turn around. I went back to my dad and say, "What the hell is this guy?" He just gained back 20 pounds, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" Now I need to do, go ahead and try to do my thing, my armbar. If that doesn't help, catch the money and go back home.
It was a tough cut. Going to Japan is always a tough cut, and I had to cut probably 14 or 15 pounds the day of to make weight. When I finally made weight, and then I was on death's row. Like, it was like one of those things, like, I'm never making this weight class again. I'm never going to do it. I've had it. And then, of course, I went on and had, most of my career was at that weight class afterwards. And then we fought, and before we fought, I went, I was like, I'm just going to do is eat. In Japan, everything has salt in it. Everything has salt in it. So I just kept retaining water. I kept ballooning up. I stepped on a scale. I couldn't believe it. It was 194 pounds before we left for the arena.
How close to weight were you at that point?
I was exactly 169. I didn't have to cut weight.
You didn't get any weight.
I lost a lot of weight in Japan because I'm half Japanese, but I was not used to stay the whole time. I was there the whole month already in Japan.
Before we go to break real fast, people watching are going to probably want to know, if they don't remember the history, how did the fight turn out?
I won.
He won.
So the better looking guy, according to him, wins.
He did.
According to the fans, the better looking guy won.
And I say according to you because I have to work with him again. Exactly. When you're not here to protect me, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
But you know what? We're honored to have you here. We're going to break now. When we come back from break, more Frank Trigg on the third segment of the show.
Stay here.
We're not letting him go. Don't go anywhere. More My Combat Channel news. Welcome back again, folks, to My Combat Channel News. We kept Frank Trigg with us because it was a great segment in the interview, and we were lucky to have you here. So
thank you.
We normally don't do that. That's the first time. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I just kind of thought it was like what
we usually kick whoever's here out.
I like that. All right, I'm the first one staying. Good. Hopefully, Fabiano will give me a job now, and I stay put.
We're working on that.
The way he did the extra segment because he talked too much.
We're going overtime. One thing I want to ask you too, because just like this casual fight fans, new fight fans, they hear your name, Twinkle Toes. Where did it come from?
It's kind of a stupid story. I've been painting my toenails since '94. I did judo as well. I earned my second degree black belt underneath Patrick Burris out in Oklahoma. Going from judo, and I wear a really tight wrestling shoe, so I want to have real tight traction. I want to feel my feet on the mat. So I stepped in and we were running across, and my toenails started coming off. One of the athletic trainers at the University of Oklahoma is like, put toenail polish on your shoe, on your toes. It'll keep your toenails down. The clear polish didn't work so well. So we went painted, okay? I got away with it for like 3 or 4 months, not a big deal. one of the freshmen in the wrestling room all of a sudden was like, you got your toenails painted. Now at that moment, you got a choice to make. It's either, you caught me, I'm never gonna do it again, or it's the coolest thing in the world, why aren't you doing it?
You owned it.
I owned up to it, kept it, I've been doing it ever since. I've been, you know, and never black, like I've never done that. I've been painting my toenails literally since '94, and I'm, as far as I know, before everybody else ever started doing it, I was already doing it. Like it was long before everybody else did it.
And the worst, they got beat up by him. He got beat up by somebody that have a cold.
So you tell everybody, you know, when they make funny for having toenails painted, hey, what do you tell your mom when you go home and tell you got your butt kicked by a guy who paints his toenails? Like, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
And trampled by twinkle toes. It's happened, folks. It's happened. So let's talk about something that you
know
guys
better.
know probably more than anybody, especially you. Dream in Japan.
Yeah.
Very good organization.
Gone.
Yeah.
Closes its shop. What kind of impact does that have on the sport that's global? Even though people think UFC, Las Vegas is here, but it's a global sport. What impact does it have on that region and on the whole sport?
Well, it kills the guys in the region. I mean, absolutely, because now there's no way for anybody to see them, nowhere anybody to get to pick them up, to kind of see what they're going to do, find out what's going to happen next. But look at a guy like Antonio Banuelos, who is fighting, I think tonight. He hasn't fought in almost a year because Dream closed shop. He lost to Fernando Vivianes in the finals and was in a position where he was promised to fight in the spring, then all of a sudden wasn't around, so he kind of kept hanging out, trying to figure it out, and like now he's kind of stuck. There is such an issue when you have these big organizations signing these long contracts, and the Japanese have a habit of doing this. They don't tell you when something's going on. When I worked for Pride, I was literally pushing Pride, telling them what the Pride fighters were, letting them know that the Vanderlei Silva versus the Chuck Liddell fight, back both in their primes, like how that fight would go and the whole bit, and I'm being told, pitch it, Pride's around forever, Pride's around forever. Behind the scenes, they're selling it to the UFC. And I had no idea. So like I wake up one morning, I'm out of a job. Like how did that happen? Like I thought I was the guy. That's what happens overseas with a lot of these organizations. You don't get the information, and Japan is cracking down on tax rate. You are not allowed to go any along without owning this big tax debt if you're an MMA production, because a lot of the people are dumping money into it and kind of filtering it through. Those days are over. They're shutting it down, they're pulling it back, especially with the UFC infiltrating that region a lot, is going to force people to tighten up their ships when they're there. So all these other organizations having to get a lot better for it. It's going to hurt the guys on the smaller levels, but your Takanori Gomis and Yakiyamas and your Dungsum Kims and those guys are going to keep getting picked up, and the guys in their camps are going to keep getting picked up. But everybody else is going to be left behind because no one's going to see them. And it's a real detriment to not have big organizations in these other countries.
But I tell you what's more interesting than everything you just say is the top 10 countdown on the ROA division. Welterweight, and Aaron Gill.
My name is Aaron Gales, and this is the top 10 welterweight division. Number 10 is Nate Marquardt. Number 9 is Rory McDonald. And number 8 is Josh Koscheck. And number 7 is John Fitch. And number 6 is Jake Ellenberger. And number 5 is Martin Kampman. Number 4 is Nick Diaz. Number 3, Johnny Hendricks. And number 2, Carlos Condit. And at number 1, we have George Rush St. Pierre. I'm Erin Gales. Thank you for watching the Top 10 Welterweight Division.
How you like that?
Not bad. I don't agree with the rankings so much, but I definitely agree with watching Erin talk about it.
Yeah, no, she could talk about anything. It involved math, and her.
I'm good.
And we're good with it.
You'll be there. You'll be in the top 10 couple times.
Yeah, I was number 2 for a while,
Yeah.
number 3 for a while. I've been, you know,
Yeah, me too.
way back in the day, like it's old, man. Remember, I've been doing this 15 years, so it's, I'm
Yeah.
way old.
It's-
Like
Yeah,
back
when are
in
you
the
gonna
day.
start aging? Because that's starting to bother me now. When are you gonna start looking like you're?
Black don't crack, son. That's the benefits of
The
having
idea
a.
is keep yourself young, at least mentally.
Yeah, exactly. What the real key is? Date younger women.
Okay.
That's the key. I'm not gonna
Or,
lie. That's the key.
like my case, keep your woman younger.
Yeah.
That can help too.
Huh?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're getting a lot of really probably bad dating tips from this panel right now. If you're watching this show,
Like again, it was a very nice to have you here.
Yeah,
and
it
I
really
hope
was.
you you come back. We got a lot to talk. If we go back into the raw days, remember when we used to train in Orange County and into fighting a small organization all the way up here, we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time. Very interesting time.
yeah, this is great for me too. For being younger into the sport. You guys have been around MMA longer than me.
Mm-hmm.
For me to be around two guys like you who have been around the sport and have done as much as you've done, this to me is a privilege to be sitting here. This is very cool.
We're talking about days that Randy Couture was just Randy.
Yeah. No Captain America.
Yeah, and Dan Henderson it was just Dan, and then the whole thing
It blew up around us. They just blew up.
Yep.
So.
Beautiful, man. There you
And
go.
we're about to blow up the end of the show, but we want to thank you for coming and watch My Combat Channel News. Here's why you should watch. He's always here. I'm here, and we're lucky enough to get guys like Frank Trigg. See you next time. See you tomorrow night. God bless. Good night. We'll be back.